guys. Let's go. Hit that like button on the way in. Appreciate you. Oh, let's go. Let's go.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
God bless the United States.
What do you say we just get right into it, ladies and gentlemen? How are you doing? Somehow you guys have made it to December 3rd, 2025, and I congratulate you for doing so. I'm Boston Bryant. This is Blunt Politics, the political podcast made to sift through the bullshit, the lies, the propaganda, the mainstream media, Donald Trump, the Republican Party, all of that good stuff, and then we just break it down, and then we make it easily digestible for the working class individuals of this country, like you, like me, because that is who these policies typically affect the most. So I appreciate you guys once again. Hit that like button on the way in. Once again, thank you to everybody on this space as well. Thank you to Matt. Thank you to the mods. Appreciate you guys over there. Appreciate you guys including me in this coalition. Proud supporter of it, and I thank you for it. So lots to get into today. We're obviously going to be talking about the Tennessee special election. We'll be diving into a little bit of Mark Kelly responding to Pete Hegseth. We've seen a clip of Pete Hegseth from 2016 come pretty much to bite him in the ass, and I'm going to be laughing the day that it's used at his war crimes trial. His own words against him at his own trial. One can only hope, but it should be done. And we also have a clip here of Megyn Kelly has gone from, excusing pedophiles, excusing what Jeffrey Epstein was into, to now, actively like frothing at the mouth because of these Venezuelan, because of the killings and the murders that we've seen here on the Venezuelan fishing boats. But she loves it. She wants to see more of it. But yes, before we dive into that, let me say hi to the chat. I'll bring the old Chatsky in. Appreciate you guys. How's everybody doing? Thank you for joining me once again. Why don't we throw you on the stage? That way you guys can see yourself. There, you should be right there. You are. There you are. What's up, guys? How are you? How's everybody? What's up, Eileen? What's up, Terry? How are you? What's up, Chantel, Yakov, Simon? Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Hi, Nancy. What's up, Salt of the Earth? I love the whole fam here. What's up, Deb, Flipper? Everybody's here. Oh, thank you, Deb, for starting off in the right way, too, gifting a membership. So several ways in which you guys can contribute financially. Again, if you're in the financial position to do so, I know we are in tough times, uncertain times. So if you're not, if you're pinching pennies like everybody else, don't worry about it. Just hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you kind of like what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing, if you find, a nice place in the chat with everybody else that you're conversing and, you find yourself coming back, think about hitting that like button. But up in the corner, here's a Venmo. You can send $1 or $2. All I ask for to help this independent media station. You can also sign up just underneath me for a YouTube channel membership. And then you can go to patreon.com/Boston Bryant. And there's 3 tiers on there. You find a level that fits what you like. And then, we go from there. But it's all just to help support this independent media station that gives you the news, the facts, as we see it here on the ground. We try to report on everything from, domestic policy to foreign news and everything going on in between. So, if you're just joining us for the first time, we're on our way to 15,000 subscribers. I think we're like 5 away. I think we can get 5 subscribers in the show. So, let me know if we do hit the 15K mark sometime during the show. But let's get into it. Today's word of the day, and thank you to the mods, as always. Huge thank you to the mods, both on this space and over here on Blunt Politics, for doing what you guys do and making sure that chat stays a safe place. So big shout out to you guys. But yes, the word of the day today, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be momentum. Okay, because that is what we have right now on the left. Political momentum. Okay, last night's Tennessee election, which we'll get into. We got a CNN clip here talking about the results. But I just want to put this on the screen for you, just to remind you guys, kind of how far we've come and what the sentiment of the American people is right now. Because it wasn't that long ago that we were reporting on this, right? The November 5th, the elections that we saw, the performance that we saw, the resounding message sent by the American people, this Politico article, I just pulled up one that was kind of reporting on it at the time. Democrats didn't just rebound, they dominated. This is a foreshadow of what we're going to see next year, said one strategist. And we're talking about, Abigail Spanberger and Mike Sherrill cruised to double-digit victories in Virginia and New Jersey. We're talking about the 2 Georgia Democrats that flipped seats on the state's Public Service Commission. We're talking about the ballot here in California that passed overwhelming wins in Mississippi. Like I said, California, all over the country, we saw a resounding, message sent by the American people towards the Republican Party, towards Donald Trump and what he's been doing, specifically in this second administration. But that's the momentum that we need to build upon. Like, that is the momentum that we rightly can fucking claim in this moment. As lefties, as whether you're left, a liberal, progressive, whatever you consider yourself, if you're voting Democrat, if you're voting blue, right, then this is good signals. This is good signs. So when we talk about, Tennessee, and when we talk about Donald Trump in a place where he won by, I think it was like something like 22 points or something wild like that, if we could just have a good showing, if we could close that gap and show people, show the Republicans, show Donald Trump in particular, that even in these deep red Republican strongholds, the change is clear, right? The change is happening. People are frustrated. They are angry. They are pissed off. They feel like they've been lied to, especially Republicans, especially people in the MAGA base. So now they're seeing, 11 months on into Donald Trump's second administration, that he has absolutely no intentions on serving anybody but himself, providing but anybody but himself or his family. He's now starting to see the reactions. And we've talked about it with his low poll numbers, something like, 35% at this point? Sorry, I know the chat's over my face. My apologies. But, I mean, this is the momentum that I know people are disappointed that we didn't take the Tennessee special election down, but we have to see, the sunlight through the trees. We have to be able to take these victories when we can, where they are presented to us. Even if it's not an outright victory, even if we could just say, now look at this, we've gone from it's a plus 22 Trump to, I think she won, I think the Republican won there by less than 5 points. That is a huge, huge switch. That is a huge, huge change in the way the demographic is thinking and how they perceive the person that they're voting for, and the lies that they've been told, and the changes that they haven't seen in their daily lives. And if anything, it's only gotten worse. The exact same things that they voted on to get rid of are the same things that they're now seeing more of, and it's only getting worse. So, when you got things happening like this, and I'll bring in this, the CNN clip here talking about the special election. We need to take the bright spots here, and we need to continue to hammer those points home. Because, when Hal, great point. Hal loves to talk about how, the main focus of our, the Democrats should be flipping all of these purple districts blue, right? Making all the red districts purple, and so on and so forth. This is exactly what's going on. We are witnessing in real time these deep red districts slowly progress, not even slowly, but rapidly progress into what could be perceived as a purple district, at some point not too distant in the future. So let's take a look at this CNN article. And again, I know people are kind of bummed out a little bit, but I think it's a great sign. I think I'm very fucking optimistic. I think it's a great signal being sent to not only, again, the Republicans, Donald Trump, conservatives, but also the mainstream media, that this needs to be paid attention to. And this is serious. Right. This is deadly serious. People's lives are being affected. People's family members are being stripped out of their homes and being deported on a daily basis, or they're being beat in the streets by ICE officers. Right. Or their family or friends or whatever in Ukraine aren't being supported the way that we need to support them. We're watching Donald Trump, cozy up to Vladimir Putin and give him every opportunity and afford him, every, award and victory for the aggressions that he started, for the murders that he's sicked on the fucking Ukrainian people. So we're watching that in real time, and people are now starting, whatever the frustrations may be, whether it's grocery prices, whether it's the job market, whether it's the housing crisis, whether it's not because you're watching the homeless crisis on the rise in your neighborhood, right? Whether it's because you're sick of paying what you're paying at the fuel pump, whatever it may be. People are pissed off. People are frustrated, and then they're rightly directing their anger towards the people in charge. So let's dive into this. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. Momentum, 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 momentum. We need to continue to hammer the points that have gotten us this momentum. The Epstein files, fucking tearing apart MAGA. Make sure that we tear apart the anti and the pro-Israel. Make sure we're highlighting that. We're going to be talking about Megyn Kelly. There's several other videos. We don't have time today in the early show, but several other videos now by MAGA commentators, by fucking right-wing conservative commentators talking about, Ben Shapiro, Tim Pool, Megyn Kelly. All of these people now are on the outs. Candace Owens, big part of that. So you're seeing it happening in real time. So we need to continue to hammer these points home. The cost of living, right? Your quality of life, your quality that this government is providing you, the quality of life that this government is providing. That's what we need to hammer home, because they're not doing shit for you. And they're really only fucking stepping on your face as they walk over you to try to make more money for themselves. And we need to make sure that people understand who's in power, who's in charge, and who has the responsibility to make those changes that could affect the people in this country, but they're just not doing it because they're too focused on selfish fucking requests. They're too focused on, crypto, putting, $800 million in the bank account, making sure that their stocks are up to date, making sure that they know what bills are being passed and what companies are going to profit from it so they can go and invest in those companies, right? Everybody seems to come into Congress with like a couple $100,000 and leave with a couple $100 million. It's funny how that happens. All right, let's dive into it. I appreciate it. Hit that like button, guys.
Overnight, there was a special election for an open house seat in the state of Tennessee, and the Republican candidate won. And a win is a win, right? Well, still, Democrats seem to be smiling this morning. Why? Because the margin of defeat was much slimmer than Republicans have been doing in that district. With us now, CNN chief.
That's just a clear understatement. Like it's almost impossible to tell you how different the swing is in such a short period of time. But he'll go on to explain here the facts and the figures.
Harry Enton, let's talk about the numbers.
Let's talk about the numbers. Republicans should be running for the hills this morning because the blue wave is building, my dear friend, Mr. Berman. What are we talking about here? Well, Matt Van Epps, the Republican candidate, he won it by 9, but this is a district that Donald Trump won by 22 points, 15
Now, was
points,
that the
7.
final margin? Because why have I been hearing less than 9? I thought I've been hearing it was less than 8 points. I thought somebody even said it was down to like 5 points. Is there something I'm missing? Is this kind of like, was he doing this at the time, or is this revised? I'm not 100% sure, but I've heard a couple different numbers being thrown around. Just kind of curious as to why we can't kind of get it straight here on the mainstream media as to what the actual fucking percentage was.
13 points. This is a 13-point gain for the Democrats in terms of the margin, and excuse time for Republicans is over, because I hear all about these special elections. Oh, the turnout's so low. It's not representative of what happened in the midterm election. The turnout last night in Tennessee's 7th district was equal to the turnout in the 2022 midterm election. So the blue wave, it seems to be building right out of center of Tennessee.
And that's fucking, we need to impress upon people. We're talking about Tennessee, the 7th district in Tennessee. We're not talking about some liberal stronghold, some fucking, progressive stronghold inside of Tennessee. Like we're talking about a plus 22 district for Donald Trump. You can see there on your screen, plus 17, plus 15, plus 22. Down to plus 9 in such a short period of time is a fucking huge momentum shift. Right. And that momentum clearly on the side of the Democrats, and that blue wave that he's talking about is the momentum that we need to ride into midterms. Right. We need to not fucking, sit back. We can't sit on our hands. We can't be quiet. We can't just hope that things are going to turn out the way that we want them to. We need to be loud. We need to be proud. We need to be aggressively calling out this bullshit. We need to be aggressively pointing out who's causing harm in the daily lives of the American public. And we need to make it very clear who they need to blame. And not only that, but we need to make it very clear who has the answers and who has the solutions and who has the better policies to enact and to make sure that we put them into office, right? So that's what we need to continue, that's what I hope to continuously do here on Blunt Politics is hammer these points home, make sure that we're continuously pointing out the rift in MAGA, make sure we're continuously pointing out the flaws and the faults in the foreign policy, also domestic policy, pointing out what's going on with ICE, pointing out what's going on with tariffs, what's going on with the economy. All of these points by different commentators, by different, whether you're liberal, progressive, it doesn't matter what the fuck you are. But if you have a voice, if you have a camera, if you have a microphone, you have the duty. It is your fucking duty to make sure that we continuously hammer these points home, continuously call out Republicans, call out Fox News, call out Republicans, RSBN, OAN, Newsmax, whatever it may be. Use that time wisely. Make sure we're talking about cost of living, cost of living, cost of living, cost of living, what Donald Trump's promises were, the promises that he hasn't fulfilled. I mean, there's a million things that we can hammer home. I continuously say that since I got into politics, there has been never a time where a political party, the Democrats, has had more ammunition, has had more opposition research against their fucking political opponents, the Republicans, Donald Trump in particular, than they have in this fucking period of time. So if we cannot harness that, if we cannot use that political ammunition to our benefit now and in this moment, then when the fuck are we ever going to be able to do it? Because we have a pedophile protecting, adjudicated rapist, somebody that went on to defame the woman that he went on to rape twice, right? A woman that's a guy that said he could grab women by the crotch because he's a star and they let you do it even if they have no consent, right? Just a guy that said on open TV, on fucking national TV, that he's talking about sex with his daughter, talking about his daughter's breasts, right? Not to mention the time that he tried to overthrow a free and fair election by stopping the counting and certification of that election, right? Not to mention the gallows that he and his people had set up in front of the Capitol to make sure that they could hang people like Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi and anybody else that didn't go the way that they wanted it to go. I mean, above and beyond all of that, you know what I mean? Not to mention cozying up to Kim Jong-un, cozying up to Vladimir Putin, cozying up to Erdogan, cozying up to fucking, Benjamin Netanyahu. I mean, you name it. And there's a million different reasons as to why this guy not only shouldn't be fucking anywhere near the White House, but should be in the fucking Hague and behind bars as solid as you could fucking make them. And it's our duty to make sure that the American public continuously hears this shit. The Epstein files, cost of living, what's going on with our allies. You're ripping people out of their homes, ICE fucking just beating American citizens, right? All the time we need to hammer all this. So this is why we're seeing this change. I think it's working. I think people are waking up to it. Even if you're in a deep red district, even if you're in Tennessee, people are waking up to the fact that their lives have only gotten worse. It hasn't gotten better. And Donald Trump blatantly lied to their faces about what he could do and what he was going to do if and when he got back in the second term.
So in terms of the numbers, the turnout looked like a regular midterm election, not a special election.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And of course, we have, what, about 11 months?
All right. What have we seen in terms of trends in all the special elections the last year?
Okay. I wouldn't necessarily give a hoot and a hollering about one special election in Tennessee. I love the people in Central.
I got a visitor. Hi, Muffin. Hi, Muffin. You want to say hi? You want to say hi? Hi, buddy. Can you wave? Hi. Look at his shoes. He's so handsome. Oh, I know. I'm gonna get in trouble. I don't think I can show you for too long. All right, you're too scrumptious. Oh, thank you. I'm leaving it. Bye. I love you guys. Love you. Oh, he's the best. YouTube, that was for educational purposes only. That was just to demonstrate how to get children into politics at an early age. That's what that was. No, it wasn't a little Brian. We're babysitting. I think you guys would be informed if I had a little Brian anywhere running around. No, that was Mel's sister's baby that we're babysitting. He's the best. He really is the best. All right, sorry. I figured you guys would enjoy that interruption. All right, let's continue. Thank you, guys.
Tennessee, but Central Tennessee is nothing special compared to the rest of the country. But what we see happening is, take a look here. Okay, 2025 U.S. House special elections. Dems outrunning Kamala Harris. A lot of blue here. A lot of blue, which is what I think the nation might look like a year from now if these results hold. Arizona 7, you see a 17 outperformance of Kamala Harris. 23 points in Florida 1, 16 points in Florida 6, 13 points in Tennessee 7, 28 points in Texas 28, and then 17 points in Virginia 11. So we've seen it throughout the nation, whether you go from the suburbs of Washington, D.C., all the way to Southwest to the Southwest and Arizona, whether you're looking at Texas, whether you're looking at Tennessee.
I mean, look at those numbers in front of you, right? I mean, if that doesn't give you hope, right? If that doesn't give you fucking, a little fucking flame under your ass, right? If that doesn't give you a little boost in spirit, I don't know what will, right? So on screen, just in case you're just listening, are the 2025 U.S. Special House election results, the margins and points. Dems outrun Harris 2024 by, in Arizona 7th, 17 points. Florida 1, 23 points. Florida 6, 16 points. Tennessee 7, 13. Texas 18, 28 points. And Virginia's 11th by 17 points, right? I mean, these are objectively signs of good things to come if we continue to do what got us here in the first place. But if we stop, if the Democrats in politics stop hammering Donald Trump, if they stop going after him on the Epstein files, if we stop talking about all this shit, then the same shit is going to happen. They're gonna be allowed to creep back into this. So we need to continue to hammer these people on every single one of these issues. Every single one of these issues.
Whether you go down to Florida, we have seen the Democratic outperformance of Kamala Harris happening across the political map. What happened last night in Tennessee ain't just staying in Tennessee. It is spreading itself throughout the nation. As I said, to me, looking at these results, it looks like a blue wave is building.
And it's not just.
All right. So again, don't get complacent. Good news, but that's only because of how hard we've been working. That is only because of how hard we have been pressing. And it's only because of, honestly, because how easy Donald Trump has made this, how egregiously incompetent and corrupt he's been in this second term. So again, he's kind of, feeding us the news articles that we need to take him out of office. And we'll use that rightly because he's that dumb, he's that stupid, and he can't be controlled by the people in his own party. So any advantage that we can have, any advantage that we can use, we're gonna take. And it's a good thing to see those numbers. It's a good thing to see the momentum that we have. Again, I know a lot of people kind of were hoping for a victory last night in Tennessee, but I do think in one sense we got that victory. Right, the message that we wanted to send was sent. I know it would have been a lot easier to send that message if we had taken down the race, but you have to kind of put it in perspective and talk about and live in reality, right? I mean, there was a very small chance. I think it was like a 12% chance or something like that in that district, that the Democrat would pull it out. So let's take the good. Let's take the fucking good where we can get it, right? There's a lot of bad that comes with politics. There's a lot of fucking mundane bullshit that comes with politics. So when we see these bright spots, when we see these numbers, like this, right? When you see numbers like this, we need to make sure that we use that as motivation. We use that to, satisfy our souls and say, hey, look, the work that we've been doing, all of this time spent in front of the camera, all of this time watching and reading news articles and trying to, figure out and get educated on what's going on is paying off. Right? It is paying off because whether it's, you guys talking to your friends, your family members, your coworkers, it's you guys in the chat that are making this difference. Whether you're in Virginia, Texas, Tennessee, Florida, Arizona, it's you guys in the chat right now that are making this difference because it's you guys that go home and sit with your friends and you go home and you sit with your family members and you sit at work and you talk to your coworkers and you tell them the facts that you guys have learned on Blunt Politics and you've learned from Hal Sparks and you've learned from Jesse Dollemore and you've learned from other people, right? And you take those into your lives, your daily lives, and you educate other people. And that education is now what we're seeing, is why we're seeing these results. So continue to spread the word, continue to fight for this country, continue to speak up, wherever you may be, because it's working. It's working, right? So I appreciate the fact that you guys can, just continuously stay in this fight and have been in this fight for so long. It's remarkable. It's very, I can't say how much I respect you guys for continuously every single day wanting to know the facts, wanting to dive into the news. Even when it's continuously bad news, tough things to hear, tough things to see. Right? You guys just wake up every single day and you want to keep fighting. You want to keep helping this country. You want to keep helping our allies. And, I can't thank you enough. I can't commend you enough for it. So I appreciate you guys. But let's dive into this next article, this next clip that I want to take a look at, which is Mark Kelly responding to Pete Hegseth. And in this, we get to see this little clip that's kind of been floating around from 2016 Pete Hegseth, which, again, I said at the beginning of the show, I am just going to be really ecstatic when it's played at Pete Hegseth's war crime trial. That's just wishful thinking on my part, but, that would be just the icing on the cake, right? Is playing his own words against him at his own war crimes trial. So this is CNN sitting down with Senator Kelly, responding to Hegseth's comments. So let's see if we can dive into this. I appreciate you guys. Hit that like button. And then what else do we got after this? Yeah, we got Fox News with another surprising take on this whole Hegseth narco boat thing. And then we got Megyn Kelly, who is, just lost it, gone off the rails lately. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that like button. I appreciate it.
CNN's K-File unearthing comments from Pete Hegseth saying that the military won't follow unlawful orders, which of course is part of what he's been attacking 6 Democrats for saying in a video. Well, it's also the same thing Hegseth is investigating Senator Mark Kelly for, threatening to court-martial him over it. Here's what K-File found from Hegseth in 2016.
I do think there have to be consequences for abject war crimes. If you're doing something that is just completely unlawful and ruthless, then there is a consequence for that. That's why the military said it won't follow unlawful orders from their commander-in-chief. There's a standard, there's an ethos, there's a belief that we are above what so many things that our enemies or others would do.
Well, would you fucking listen to that, huh? Sounds like the tune's changed in that old guitar. What's going on here? What do we have here? Acting like the enemy. Acting for... can we hit just one more time from the horse's mouth himself, Pete Hegseth? Now, how much does this have to do with what he's conducting, the strikes that he's carrying out now? Everything. He's pretty much calling himself out word for word here. This is remarkable shit. Again, Pete Hegseth, in his own words, talking about war crimes and how we can't, basically turn into the enemy, which is exactly what we have turned into here when we're taking out these criminals that are so-called narco terrorists trafficking drugs, allegedly.
I do think there have to be consequences for abject war crimes. If you're doing something that is just completely unlawful and ruthless, then there is a consequence for that. That's why the military said it won't follow unlawful orders from their commander-in-chief. There's a standard, there's an ethos, there's a belief that we are above what so many things that our enemies or others would do.
Now, I'm glad to hear him say that he understands that there's consequences. So when the consequences inevitably, whether it's in this administration or the next, whether it's in fucking 6 months or 6 years, when those consequences inevitably come down the line, Pete Hegseth shouldn't be that surprised because he's here in 2016 talking about those exact consequences for those exact war crimes, for those exact actions that he is now instructing, that he is now ordering the United States military to carry out, in his own words.
He's talking about not following unlawful orders. Does that sound familiar?
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
And again, it's crazy to think that there would be any bigger confirmation, like any, any more clear example of a confirmation as to why, people like Senator Mark Kelly and Senator Slotkin and the rest of these people and the rest of the senators involved here would kind of remind the military of their oath, of their duty, of the rules and regulations that they fucking took an oath and swore to, right? Like it couldn't have come literally at a better time, right? When this story broke, talking about these illegal orders. And as we've been watching Pete Hegseth kind of post these videos on social media for, several months now, it seems to be remarkable timing in just an outright, repudiation of anybody that says that they were doing anything wrong or were like out of character or out of pocket somehow for making this video.
That violate the law or our Constitution.
That is, of course, the video 6 Democrats released 2 weeks ago saying that the military can refuse unlawful orders, which Trump said was seditious behavior punishable by death when it came out. Senator Mark Kelly will join me in just a moment to respond. But first, K-File's Andrew Kaczynski is out front. So, Andrew.
My apologies. I'm just going to skip ahead to where they bring in Mark Kelly. Actually, no, he kind of goes over the statements. Let me see what he says about these statements.
I can understand under Barack Obama in some ways with the rules of engagement and the culture, but I still want to believe and hope that there are plenty of Americans who understand what this country represents that are willing to put their lives on the line, and families that understand the importance of that to encourage their son or daughter. I just hope we get a commander-in-chief befitting of that loyalty.
Andrew, I know you reached out to the White House. You reached out to the Defense Department, or as they now call themselves, the Department of War, about this video. What did they tell you?
Yeah, they call themselves that, but Congress doesn't call them that. So it's the Department of Defense. It's the Department of Defense, because they can call themselves whatever the fuck they want, but we're not, we're not in preschool here. You don't just get to make up your fucking, your fairy friend's name or your imaginary friend's name and expect everybody else to go along with it. But I'm going to bring in here Senator Kelly.
Well, Aaron, I think he's correct, and it's exactly what we said. But when we said it, Pete Hegseth now, said 8 years later, or 9 years later, he says what we said was false and reckless. And I think it begs the question, what has changed? And it's pretty obvious what has changed is we have an unqualified Secretary of Defense who only cares about sucking up to this president and loyalty to this president. That's the difference. It's who's commander-in-chief. What we said was uncontroversial. The White House sort of confirmed that. They said his uncontroversial remarks, they were the same as ours. I mean, this is so ridiculous. And what the president wants to do now is intimidate us and stop us from talking, which is not consistent with our Constitution. And beyond that, Aaron, he said we should be hanged for what we said, executed for what we said. And what we said was exactly the same thing that Pete Hegseth said in 2016.
Of course, sedition, right, can be punishable by death. I just want to note the Pentagon spokesperson today, in the response to Andrew Kaczynski, said, referred to you as the despicable video of the seditious six, urging troops to defy their chain of command. That's how it was described today.
CNN loves to fucking do this. For some reason, they have to add in these like little fucking monikers, these little notes. Like, it hasn't been proven. Like, they love doing it when talking about the Epstein files. Like, for some reason, they, not for some reason, probably because of their, the person that owns the company, the people that run the company. But they love to be like, oh no, we have to add in that there's been no credible evidence, no direct evidence to say that suggests that Donald Trump has any involvement in the Epstein. It's like, what are you talking about? He's in the fucking flight logs. I understand you're trying to save yourself from a lawsuit, but I mean, when are you taking this both sides bullshit a little bit too far with what you can plainly see in front of your fucking face, right? And you'll be surprised because, even Fox News thinking that they're going to get one up now. This is Jonathan Turley. Now, if you don't remember Jonathan Turley, if you don't remember hearing that name, remember when Donald Trump was going through, his court room process, and he'd be going in and out of the courtroom, and he'd fucking give those little speeches at the, either exiting the courtroom or going in from like the cow pen that he used to sit in, and he'd have this stack of papers with different tweets and articles from different people, and he'd continuously name the same like 4 or 5 lawyers that he had in his pocket, and it's cite their source, and it'd cite their comments and talk about how weaponize the DOJ with that bullshit. Well, Jonathan Turley was one of those people that he was continuously citing, was continuously on Fox News, out there defending and supporting Donald Trump, talking about the weaponization, yada yada yada. Okay, well, now Jonathan Turley's back on Fox News being questioned about Pete Hegseth's decision, or the president's decision, I should say, on taking out these narco boats, as they call them. And I don't think Fox News was quite ready for what he had to say. I don't think they quite thought he was going to go in this direction. So this is a very quick clip. We don't have to watch too much of this, to kind of get the gist of it. But I thought this was kind of funny to see on Fox News, of all places, from Jonathan Turley, of all people, somebody that was heavily in the pocket, heavily, talked about and heavily used by Donald Trump as somebody that was, supporting him legally. So check this out. This is kind of crazy.
George Washington University professor and Fox News contributor. Professor, thanks for being with us on such short notice. We seek your expertise in this. Let's first of all play that moment from the briefing where Jackie Heinrich asked Caroline Leavitt about that second attack on a Venezuela drug boat. Listen here.
You said that the follow-up strike was lawful. What law is it that allows no survivors?
The strike conducted on September 2nd was conducted in self-defense to protect Americans in vital United States interests. The strike was conducted in international waters and in accordance with the law of armed conflict.
So she
Okay,
says that
so
Admiral
we've gone over ample times. And again, if you're just joining us for the first time, your first time here at Blunt Politics, we've gone over in the last several days just how many different, laws, regulations, policies, amendments, whatever you want to call them, that, are followed not only on the open water, on maritime law, but also just rules of war, the Geneva Convention, humanitarian such things, like that. So you can go back in the shows that we just did a couple days ago and the last day yesterday and check out the ways in which that Caroline Leavitt was just objectively lying to your face. Like there's just nothing to suggest that we're allowed to carry out those type of strikes, especially when somebody's already been hit, they're involved in a shipwreck, clinging onto wreckage, and then we decide to just murder them in cold blood. Not something that we, is allowed under maritime law and under different, several different sets of rules and organizations and in laws and policies. And there's a whole fucking list of them that you can go through. It's crazy that they're even trying to get away with this still. The fact that it was something that, it happens all the time. What you do, you just people floating on a fucking piece of wreckage in international waters. What you usually do is you want to make sure that you kill them. You want to make sure that you really knock them dead, right? You don't want to just leave them there or rescue them. God forbid. That would be terrible.
Frank Bradley, who is the commander of the Special Operations Command, gave the order for the second strike. I looked it up quickly, and it says that a second strike is allowed if, quote, the attacker cannot confirm destruction from the first strike. I would imagine that would be regardless of whether there were survivors or not. What do you know about this, Professor?
Well, this is highly contextual, as you might imagine. The law of war deals with a situation that is the example of the fog of war, right? I mean, the fog of war.
And again, as you hear these like excuses, the goal of this is not to kill the people. Like they're talking about this as if the goal, the intent is to kill the people, right? What I've been told and what they're trying to get across to everybody else is that the intent is just to not allow the drugs to get to the United States, right? So once that boat has been incapacitated, once that boat has been blown to bits, once those drugs have been sent to the bottom of the fucking Caribbean, then that's job done, right? That is job. Next would be to go and round up, the alleged criminals involved in that, and then you could prosecute them, get information from them. Right? Like there's no job left to be done. It's not the heartbeat of these people on the boats, and stopping that heartbeat should not be the goal. Even if we are, even if it is trying to be, getting God across to us that it's the drugs that we're trying to stop. Therefore, it should be the goal to stop the vessel. That's it. Stop the vessel. After that, we can round up and arrest the people. The main goal is to stop those drugs from getting to the shores, even though it would take, 35 fucking refills on this trip of a boat that size to get from where it is to the shores of the United States, which is, again, a story above and above, for another time, which is just ridiculous above and beyond itself. But still, okay, he goes on here. Sorry.
Of the fog of war, right? I mean, the fog of war has a certain fluidity to it. Decisions are made very quickly. Some of those decisions might be mistakes. What is clear is that you cannot issue a strike on survivors of a wreck just to kill the survivors. That is against the laws of war. It's against federal law, which has been incorporated by the Senate through treaties. So those points are very clear. The question that is not clear is what happened here. Now, what was just suggested by the White House was that the second strike was meant to fully destroy the vessel. Now, that can be done within the rules of or the laws of
right, but it's still not. It doesn't justify the fact that you could visibly see that there were survivors clinging onto that wreckage, and you did nothing in order to maintain their lives. You did nothing in order to attempt a rescue, at providing aid, at bringing them aboard, at arresting them. detaining them, whatever it may be. And then you can go about, blowing up the ship and making sure that it's not in, the lanes of the fucking cargo and that type of thing, right? Same thing that happened in World War II, right? You would get the fucking survivors off and then you'd torpedo the ship. You'd make sure a lot of the times it was their own country. It was the United States torpedoing their own ship, or the Germans torpedoing their own vessels to make sure that they sunk them so that either the enemy couldn't get a hold of it, that it wasn't in the way of their own shipping lanes, whatever it may be. Like that's you don't just say, okay, well, we have to get the boat, the rest of this wreckage out of the way. We see the two people hanging onto it, but again, we have to get the boat out of the way. So, sorry, two people. That's just not how it works.
War that is obviously in World War II and other conflicts, a coup de grace, a torpedo or shell was used to bring a ship finally to rest. So there's no question about that. It's a question of the motivation. So it's not uncommon for finishing shots to occur if the boat itself was not fully destroyed. Now, the argument of critics here is that this is not a battleship. This is not a destroyer. It's not even a cruiser. It's a small boat hit with a large munition, and that it was largely destroyed. And so the question is, was this to kill the survivors or truly to destroy the rest of that ship?
She also added some news.
And again, you can tell by the way he's talking, he doesn't have confidence in which one of those theories, which one of those answers it's going to be, right? Like he's unsure. You can tell that he's not really on the side of that they were just doing this to get rid of the wreckage so that it was not, a hindrance to shipping channels or something like that. Because if a boat that size hit with ammunition that big, it's pretty well disabled at that point. You don't have to, go on to continuously strike that to make sure that that vessel can no longer continue its mission. I think it's pretty clear that once these people are hanging on to the side of the wreckage and everything's in flames, the boat's blown apart into 1,000 pieces, that boat's no longer going to be able to, carry out its mission. Therefore, what you should actively do is go into rescue mode. Go into, again, detaining these people, arresting them, prosecuting them. Again, if you have this valid evidence behind the scenes that you know who every single one of these people are, what gang they're affiliated with, all of the information that you need to prosecute them. You have them on camera doing what you say that they're doing, that you want to prosecute them for. You have enough evidence to kill them, but all of a sudden, now that they're survivors, you don't have enough evidence to prosecute them. Because we've seen a couple of them, repatriated to their countries. Now we're talking about the ones in this strike, actively blown to pieces while they're clinging on to wreckage. Wouldn't you want to prosecute those people? Wouldn't you want to make an example, set an example, with how our judicial system is supposed to work? Because it doesn't seem to be working. You don't seem to be having an effect on these drug boats. If you continue having these targets to strike, you're not having the effect that you think you're having. And again, it's ridiculous to think that we're actually killing, like, these people, the gangs and the narco terrorists are actually sending out their best people on these boats, right? Like, and not people that they've, kidnapped and forced to work for the gang, or, kidnapped their family and they're only doing it to save their family, or, there's no fucking work whatsoever and it's the only people in town that can pay you a decent wage so you can put food on the table for your family. You don't really want to be doing it. You probably don't even know what the overall intent is, right? Who knows? You know what I mean? These people, that a lot of the times that's what goes on. They recruit, people in tough situations, or they force people to do it, or they kidnap people and force them into this life. So who are the people that were actually taken out? Because there's a 99% chance that it's actually not the narco terrorists that are responsible for the drug trafficking, setting up and getting the drugs from different places and making sure that they can, reroute from here and go to different places. Like, that's not what inevitably is happening here by taking out these people that are on the boat.
That the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, met with members of Congress over the weekend who had concerns about the strikes. Just wonder where you see all of this going next. Final thought, Jonathan.
Senator, there's already been talk about a congressional investigation. The key here is going to be what the admiral had intended here, if he was intending to take out the remainder of the boat, it likely is within the laws of war. These are very difficult decisions to sort of walk
But again,
back.
shouldn't there be specific rules and steps again taken? Like again, I find it hard to believe that in the United States military, something that is so structured, something that has rules, regulations, procedures up the fucking wazoo, doesn't have steps that you are tasked and taking right in a specific situation. Like I find it hard to believe that Admiral Bradley was never put in like some type of war school where again he struck a ship, there were survivors, he needed to take care of the wreckage, but also had to figure out what to do with the survivors, right? I find it very hard to believe that in this case, even if they were trying to say that they were trying to, get rid of the rest of the wreckage, that there isn't steps and specific procedures, knowing that the survivors in the area, in the water that pose no threat whatsoever anymore, that there's steps needed to be taken in order to rescue those people before, undertaking any of the, the following strikes. Right. So again, I don't see how even that would let him off. And as we pointed out in yesterday's show, I want you to remember just the fact that Admiral Bradley's name, just the fact that you've seen his picture plastered all over the television, brought up by Pete Hegseth, right? Backhandedly applauded by Pete Hegseth, while also revealing the commander. I mean, just think of how many successful missions have taken place in the United States military where you don't hear who's in charge, who fucking actually made the decision, who pushed the button, who pulled the trigger, right? I mean, just think of a lot of the time SEAL Team 6, the SEAL teams, right? And the missions that they carry out in the shadows, the special forces, Delta forces. Like there's a reason why you don't hear of it. There's a reason why you don't plaster these people all over the fucking television screen, unless it's for a specific reason, like the jackass that says he shot bin Laden, right? In his little media tour that he's been on. So for like very specific reasons, you don't see and typically hear of the people in our military service that actually got these things done. You know what I mean? That's just how it typically works. So the fact that who the admiral was, the fact that they're out here naming him and, again, plastering his picture all over the fucking place should go to show you that they're trying to scapegoat him, right? They're trying to, here's the guy that actually did do it. We're applauding him now, but that's just to make sure that everybody knows that it wasn't me who said the order. It wasn't me who did it. He kind of did it on his own accord, right?
In time. But it'll depend a lot upon that videotape, what orders were given. The secretary here has denied the allegation that he gave an order to kill any survivors. And so that is now clear on the record and contradicts the original media report.
All right, but there is confirmation, though, of a second strike against the same target. So we'll keep following this and see where it goes.
Thank you, John.
All right, so you can see his skepticism. You can see that he's very highly skeptical of what's being put out here by the White House, by Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth was watching live, but then he saw the initial strike, but then he got up to make a whiskey. He didn't actually see the second strike, so he couldn't possibly have said anything in the second strike, but who knows what he said before that. And again, as we talked about yesterday, these commanders, even if they're not giving a direct order and sitting down and talking to Pete Hegseth and hearing his bullshit, like it could very well, it could be something where Pete Hegseth got this message across with a wink and a nudge without giving a specific order, without giving a direct order, and then put this commander in the position anyways, right? Without having to put, so-called pen to paper, putting Hegseth's name on a direct order. But, it's fucking... It's pretty evident that even the people at Fox, even these lawyers that had Donald Trump's back in, the dumbest of circumstances, aren't ready to go to those lengths for Pete Hegseth. And I think Pete Hegseth kind of sees the writing on the wall, which is why they have this plan to, make the admiral the scapegoat, make him, basically make him the superstar that right now that they could applaud. But if anything down the line comes as far as, justice or accountability, the first person they're going to be looking at for that second strike is going to be the admiral, which is exactly why those 8 senators, the veterans and the senators involved in intelligence came out with that reminder to remind our men and women of the military service of their duty to not follow illegal orders because of the position it would put them in, right? They could land themselves in hot water because of something that Pete Hegseth or something that Donald Trump ordered them to do, right? And, just to kind of show you how sick these people are in calling for shit like this anyway, Megyn Kelly, who said that The same lady that said that Jeffrey Epstein didn't like 8-year-olds, so it's okay. He only liked 15-year-olds who were barely legal. 15, barely legal. This said by Megyn Kelly, not by me. Said by Megyn Kelly, not by me. Trying to, again, excuse, I guess, some of the behavior of, I don't know where she was going with that, but again, she's moving on now from supporting Jeffrey Epstein, defending Jeffrey Epstein and his actions, to now, like, actively salivating at the mouth with like videos of people getting shot and people dying by missile attack from the United States. So this is her. I'm going to see if I can dive into the part. I think there's one pretty egregious part in this. We don't have to dive into the whole thing. But yeah, this is Megyn Kelly, and it says, let's focus on Hegseth's second strike reveals the truth about Trump and GOP with Mark Halperin. Let's see what this bimbo's got to say.
If what I just said is
She's a
true,
bloody cunt.
and that's an if,
That
it would be.
That was for Yvonne. All right, so let me start from the beginning. I forget where exactly in this whole charade she says her bullshit.
Order, and they're thrilled. They're so excited. What they're saying is that on one of those Venezuelan drug boat strikes, we struck the boat, that there were 2 survivors, drug dealers, driving the boat or on
Drug
the boat
dealers, right? I mean, does she have fucking any idea what she's talking about? Does she think that they're fucking really taking this boat from Venezuela, pulling off the shores of fucking New York City or Boston and slanging these drugs from the ship, from the boat? They're not dealers. This isn't a fuck. You know what a drug dealer is? Somebody that deals drugs. These are people that are fucking trafficking, right? These are, get it right. I can't stand somebody that considers themselves to represent the law and you know, law and order, doesn't know the right terminology. Like, get it fucking right. And again, still don't know what the actual involvement of the people on the boats are. We don't know. And the only thing that we do know is that the survivors were repatriated back to their countries without prosecution. So what does that tell us about the information, the evidence, the background stuff that they have on these people, or about the people themselves? It's just not adding up here, Meg.
who were then clinging to the remnants of the boat, and that on Pete Hegseth's order, they then dropped a second bomb to take out the 2 survivors, and then 2 more bombs to sink the boat. Because
again, this little distinction that they're trying to make is so fucking irrelevant. Whether he gave the order beforehand or during, I don't see how that's relevant, right? Whether he said kill them all before and the admiral just took that to heart and did what he had to do, or it was Pete Hegseth that gave a directive, and then as the fucking first strike happened, he said kill them all during the second strike. Again, I don't see how that makes a big difference. It's the same thing. Whether he gave the order before the first strike or after the first strike and before the second strike, he's still giving the order. It's still him giving. I don't understand why the distinction.
No remnants of the boat whatsoever. And Trump was asked about this on Air Force One, and Trump denied that Pete had done it. He actually said, Pete told me that he hasn't done it, that he did not agree to that. And now we've had
the same thing about Putin. Remember he said that about Putin in Helsinki? Putin told me he didn't do it. I don't know why Putin would lie about that. He has no reason to tell me that he wouldn't do it. I know our intelligence agencies said that it was definitely him, and they had fucking plenty of evidence to prove that, but I don't believe him. I don't trust him. Putin just told me it wasn't him. So we've heard that story before.
2 inquiries opened in Republican-controlled bodies of Congress, the House and the Senate. So the Republicans, or at least making a show of seeming interested in whether this happened, because many military experts have said they don't see how this could be legal, like that you're not allowed, they say, and this is still under investigation about what happened, but
see how tough it is for her to get that out? Like, it's just so ridiculous. Like, you can just so easily tell these people agenda. Like, it's just like when they're like struggling to get these words out. Like, if you're an actual journalist, if you consider yourself a reporter, right, and you're just reporting the facts as it, you shouldn't be struggling to say that many military, analysts and strategists and experts say that this is illegal. Right? It shouldn't be that difficult for you to say. So let me skip Mark Halperin because nobody needs to listen to him, and see if there's a part in here where she's actively happy that these killings are being filmed, and she loves
That's what's happened here too. And I think that's it, at a minimum, should be examined.
Well, that touches on an interesting dynamic that's popping up more and more in the press about whether there's some group of Republicans that are dejected and demoralized on Capitol Hill right now, Mark, because they feel like a rubber stamp to Trump. They feel like they can't challenge him or they're going to get primaried and chased out of Congress, MTG
Yeah, those are
style.
the resignations that we were talking about, where MTG started, and there was a report that there was several other Republicans thinking about doing the same thing because they were very unhappy with the way they've been treated by this Trump administration.
And so they do feel like they've ceded their
talking to Democrats or talking to Don Bacon or
it's a little on the tour that it's in a way it's so much more fun to be in the opposition, you know, and just like lay criticisms on the people in power. But then when your team is in power and there's infighting and there's all sorts of articles every day about how terrible they are. I know it's from mostly the mainstream, which hates Trump and hates everybody in the Trump administration.
there's sort of three main areas, right?
Can we continue to talk about it? What did I go through the whole process of pulling up the wrong fucking clip?
Talk about it. It's
that's
devastating
piece. And again, you got to consider the source. Miranda's a great reporter and writer and columnist. She's not writing a negative story based on the deep state sources. She's just not.
That's what concerns me. She's so good.
So that's number two is you've got some cabinet members. And then the president's poll numbers just aren't good. And again, that's not the liberal media. It's not fake polls. Every poll, including private Republican polls, show it's a snapshot of where we are. It doesn't mean they'll be bad next year. It doesn't mean he can't turn things around, but his poll numbers are.
This might be the clip. It's in. It seems like it's in this.
So I really do kind of not only want to see them killed in the water, whether they're on the boat or in the water, but I'd really like to see them suffer. I would like Trump and Hegseth to make it last a long time so that they lose a limb and bleed out a little. Like, I'm really having a difficult time ginning up sympathy for these guys who 10 seconds earlier almost got taken out by the initial bomb, but because they managed to get ejected, a little too soon, had to be taken out in the water. I realize legally it may make a difference, but truly, Mark, this is a tough case to really gin up the sympathies of the American people.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. So basically, I have no humanity is what Megyn Kelly just said. That's basically what she just got across. I have absolutely zero humanity, and I'm having a tough time feeling bad about brown people being actively attacked by our own country without our country giving, ample or any evidence to suggest that fucking drastic of an action is worthy to be undertaken. Not to mention the fact that it's against, again, maritime law, the international law, the rules of war, the Geneva Convention, on and on and on it goes. But yeah, go on, Megan, and tell us how did I miss that in this? How did I possibly miss that? Because that was definitely in this one that I was showing. But where the hell does she say that? Does she cut it out? Oh, you know what? She might have cut that part out because this is the shortened down clip. Like, this isn't that full show.
But that has approval rating down to 36, a new second term low.
Because I'm curious of maybe whether or not she cut that part out.
Or bombs to sink the boat, because I guess we want no remnants of the boat whatsoever. And Trump was asked about this on Air Force One, and Trump denied that. Your thoughts on it?
Well, I contain multiple.
But if what I just said is true, and that's an if, that it would be clearly illegal because you're not allowed to kill people
that's
that
fucking
are
crazy.
Dejected and demoralized on Capitol Hill right now, Mark, because
then they go on to talk about something totally different. So she must have cut that part out. And I'll show you, just one more time in case you just joined us, why she probably cut that part out. Because what she said is fucking absolutely unhinged, right? Let me play this for you. Share this tab instead. Make this big on your screen.
So I really
Here's
do
Megyn
kind
Kelly.
of not only want to see them killed in the water, whether they're on the boat or in the water, but I'd really like to see them suffer. I would like Trump and Hegseth to make it last a long time so that they lose a limb and bleed out a little. Like, I'm really having a difficult time ginning up sympathy for these guys who 10 seconds earlier almost got taken out by the initial bomb, but because they managed to get ejected, a little too soon, had to be taken out in the water. I realize legally it may make a difference. But
Do you hear what she just said? Because they were ejected too soon. Like, just think about what she's saying, because what the administration, at least now, their most recent story they're trying to get across is they were trying to destroy the debris, right? They were trying to break apart the boat even more. I guess it was like, because it was a hindrance to, the shipping channels or, whatever the fuck it may be. But that's what they're trying to get across. This is Megyn Kelly, and I just kind of picked up on this, openly saying that the reason for the second strike, or she wouldn't even care if the reason for the second strike was quite literally just to kill those two. Because as she says here, she says 10 seconds before they were ejected too soon and they didn't get killed by the original strike. So then the second strike had to be undertaken. Again, directly, in contravention to, directly contradicting, what the administration is trying to get across as their story, right? Check this out. Listen to what she says.
I really do kind of not only want to see them killed in the water, whether they're on the boat or in the water, but I'd really like to see them suffer. I would like Trump and Hegseth to make it last a long time so that they lose a limb and bleed out a little. Like, I'm really having a difficult time ginning up sympathy for these guys who 10 seconds earlier almost got taken out by the initial bomb, but because they managed to get ejected, a little too soon, had to be taken out in the water.
But because they got ejected a little too soon, had to be taken out in the water. Way to give the game away, Meg. Way to give the game away. Unreal. I mean, these people are just so sick and demented in the head. They really don't even understand what they're saying half the time, or how crazy it sounds to people that aren't in their little fucking bubble, aren't in this right-wing hemisphere of clowns and pedophile protectors, just abject fucking morons. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. I'm going to toss it over to Jeff, my main man, Jeff, over there on this space. Thank you so much. Make sure you tune into Blunt Politics tonight, 8:30 p.m. on the East Coast, 5:30 here on the West Coast, because we do a doubleheader here on Wednesday. So thank you. Sorry if I'm a little over time here on this space. Thank you to Jeff. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to Matt. Thank you to everybody. If you're here on Blunt Politics, make sure you stick around so I can thank anybody that sent a Venmo or contributed in the old chat. But thank you, this space. Take it away, Jeff. I appreciate you, brother. Make sure you kick some ass, dude. All right. So let me get into thanking you fabulous people here. Thank you first and foremost to the mods. As always, I appreciate you guys fighting and sifting through the bullshit there and making sure the chat stays a safe place. I really do appreciate you as always. And anybody that contributed via Venmo. I know you guys have been fantastic over the last few days, last couple weeks, and really just since we started here. So again, I really do want to take the time out and show my signs of appreciation for you guys every show, which we do at the end of the show. So anybody that contributes, either Venmo, YouTube, Super Chat, anything like that, I make sure to, say my thank yous at the end of the show. So people like Claudia, thank you so much, Claudia, for the $5. It's okay for being late. That's okay, dear. It's never been a problem. And thank you, Linda. Thank you, Damon. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Garrett. Thank you, Thomas. You guys have been amazing and continue to be. I really do appreciate you guys. Let's see. Anybody here on YouTube today? We got one. It's a slow day here at Blunt Politics, but that's all right. That's all right. Deb, I really do appreciate you for that one gifted membership. If you were the lucky person in the chat to get that gifted membership, make sure we're thanking Deb. We really do appreciate you, whether it's $1 or whatever it may be. Any financial contribution to the show is just greatly appreciated. We really do thank anybody that has recently joined the show. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. Thank you so much for giving me the shot. Thank you so much for supporting independent media. Oh, thank you, Jess. Thank you, Jess and Danny. Just hopping on to say love you all. Thank you so much, Jess and Danny. We appreciate you. Obviously, Jess and Danny are longtime supporters, some of the OGs here at Blunt Politics, and sisters from another misters. So thank you, guys. I appreciate you. Tell everybody I said hello in the household. Please give the cats a treat for me. And thank you to everybody else. I really do appreciate you. But, yeah, I'll see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. on the East Coast, 5:30 on the West Coast. And, find your time if you're anywhere in between that. So I appreciate you guys. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. Much appreciated. Make sure you keep kicking ass. Make sure you stay strong, stay safe, stay aggressive, stay loud, stay proud, all right? But keep your head on a swivel. Make sure you're staying safe out there, all right? I appreciate you guys. I'll see you tonight, all right? Thanks, guys. Thanks, mods. Appreciate you. Peace. Thank you, Yakov. Thank you, brother. I see you sneaking that in there. I see you sneaking that in there. We would do it for a slow day. We would do it for a slow day. You guys have been amazing. So, no worries. No worries. we can do a little bit better tonight. All right, guys, make sure you guys check out the short on my channel. I'm trying to get to 15,000 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Please subscribe. Once we hit 15K, that's a big goal. Big goal. Good day, guys. Appreciate it. Let's see you later.
We appreciate those camels. I haven't seen camels like that in a long time.
Like we always do about this time.
They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated. Never fight uphill, me boys, never fight uphill. They were fighting uphill. He said, wow, that was a big mistake. He lost his great general. And they were fighting, never fight uphill, me boys, but it was too late.
Taking it back to Nevada, where he's wanted for banging horses.
You know, he wanted to debate. If we didn't have a debate, he'd still be there. Can you imagine if we didn't have a debate? Why the hell did I debate him? You're a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat. China has total respect for Donald Trump and for Donald Trump's very, very large brain.
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
White people are a mortal danger to you and your loved ones.
In the hell was that all about?
There's no way we are going to allow a con artist to take over the conservative movement, and Donald Trump is a con artist.
Fucking Nazis.
My superpower is being honest. I will eat my neighbors.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys coming over from hell. I'll see you guys later. Be sure to check in tonight, 8:30 p.m. 8:30, 5:30 here on the West Coast. Thanks, guys. See you later.